Hello, everyone. My name is Will from Basketball Network, and today we have a special guest on our show, Elijah Stewart. Elijah Stewart he's had a quite extensive international career. Played college ball at South Cal. Plenty of experience playing all over Europe, Israel, and other countries as well. Now he joined the Big Three. He's playing for the LA Riot squad for the Big Three. That's the league that's going to start in 2 weeks. And the main reason for today's interview is to just chop it up, see what's happening, how the whole partnership with the Big Three came about, and to hear more about Elijah's career and what are the challenges and the blessings of being a basketball player. Elijah, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Sure, man. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
So first things first, I just want to hear what was the process behind your decision to join the Big Three? Like, how did this whole partnership came about?
I ended up getting an opportunity after my second year professional. My first year, I ended up doing a stint with the Indiana Pacers. Went to their preseason training camp, and from training camp went to the G League, and from the G League, kind of bounced around a little bit looking for an opportunity. One never really presented itself, and I decided to go overseas the year after.
Mm-hmm.
Started my overseas career in Finland. We had a really good team. We were first in the league. I was doing well. Everything was going fine, and then COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I want to say when I was going overseas that year in 20, I want to say it was like 2020. Nicky came to me. He was like, "Yo, would you want to play in this league during the summer? It's called the Big Three. You know, Ice Cube's putting together a basketball league. It's 3-on-3 basketball. I think you'll kill it." You know, me and him was just coming off of a Drew League championship, so he was showing love because I helped him win his first Drew League championship. I was one of the main guys on the team. I kind of came, and the thing about the Drew League is like a lot of the players they can't really ever see it all the way through. But fortunately for us, my signing date wasn't until late for Finland. I ended up leaving like in September to go to training camp in Finland. So we finished the Drew League, won a title there. He invited me to come play in the Big Three, but I wasn't old enough at the time.
Oh.
Uh, the first year of the Big Three, actually, I think the age to enter was 27. So Nick was like, "Yo, Cube, I got this really good player. You know, I want to play. I think we should try to get younger players in. You know, he's a really good prospect. Do this." And he kind of talked me up a little bit. Then the following year, they changed the age limit, dropped it to I think 22, something like that. And I was playing ever since then.
Mm-hmm. And now you're a part of the LA Riot squad. How does it feel like to present your home team? You're from LA, and which other teams or specific team do you see as your biggest rival in this new iteration of the Big Three with franchises in different cities?
It it honestly feels like surreal, to be honest. Like I never thought I would be in a position to be like even playing basketball in America during the summer. You know, a lot of players who play overseas they either have to go Puerto Rico or China or Mexico once they finish their season in Europe. So for me to have a chance to like make good money and play in America and travel America, bring my family and friends along with me was just amazing. It was a no brainer for me to really like turn down other opportunities to really stick with this. I've always seen the Big Three as like something bigger than just 3-on-3 basketball and um, older NBA players playing in it. I think it'll get to a point where it's going to become a really competitive league and we go international. So
Hmm.
that's my hopes and aspirations for the league. You know, Cube and them got their hopes and aspirations as well, and they've been holding their end of the bargain. Every year is very professional. It's really good. They take really good care of us. They listen to any rule changes we need, any problems we have with the current system, and where we want to play at. So for them to at now home bases, which is something that we asked for, was just amazing this year. So from that standpoint, it's just amazing to have like people who are in ownership positions and they listen. Um, and to be chosen to play in LA was just the icing on the cake, honestly. Like me and Nick were ecstatic when we got the job to go and play in LA and for him to coach and to just get the team that we have now. I honestly think that we don't really have any outright competitors. No one in the league has the type of roster we have. No one has the type of players we have. The only hope that they really have is to just play dirty and try to beat us physically in like a game that's probably not basketball,
Yeah.
which is, some team strategy, honestly. But as far as skill, talent, coaching, like we have by far the best team
Mhm.
by far. And you're going to see like a lot of these games are going to get real chippy because that's the only way they can hope to play with us.
Yeah, and I want to talk about something you mentioned something very interesting. You said that a lot of these changes that happen in the big three were initiated by the players, which is a great sign in terms of the ownership listening to its players. Is there, like, when it comes to these changes where teams are in specific cities, franchises, that also came from the players, right? That was a suggestion from your end.
It was so we used to do so my position on the team, I'm a co-captain, and for a while I was doing more of the I don't know the word for it, but we would have like meetings before the season, so we'd kind of do like think tanks and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
we were just having a lot of different think tanks throughout the year. I think I did three of them when I
Mhm.
was here since I've been here, and it's just they come and they ask questions. And being one of the younger guys in the league, I mean, for the last 3 years, I've been the youngest guy, so I just have all these ideas, and they've been listening. This year they're going to try to experiment more with some of my social media ideas, and I think it should do well. But just to like work for people who listen is just very underrated. A lot of people don't understand like when you're talking to people and they have a vision, it's their vision and it's no one else's. But
Mm.
here it's like a family vision. We all want what's best for the league, and it's just it's just been amazing to have people like actually listen and execute. I think that's the most important part is that everything that we tell them, they execute on it.
Yeah, I mean that's usually a sign of great leadership. That's putting aside its ego and maybe the knowledge that they have, and listen to some other opinions and points of view that can potentially down the line be of great help and actually expand on what you guys were doing so far. And you mentioned your team is your team is stacked, like full of ex NBA players. What is so you're confident that you guys have the most talent out of any other squad out there, right?
For sure. And I mean, like people know it as well. We have the most talent, and more specifically, something else like I don't know if like you've watched, but over the years, especially like if like no one's watching, you have players who will come in and they take the game very light. But something about the teams that I've been on is that we've always taken it very serious. We prep our bodies. We try to limit chances of like injury. Because
Hmm.
people just think, oh, it's 3-on-3. It's not a big deal. Like this is a physical game. A lot of
Right.
people don't understand. Like it's a very physical game. It's tough to play. Me being a guard, it's kind of hard for me to go out and check players like Michael Beasley and um, who are some like some of the big men. Sorry, it's like really early right now, so my brain's not really working that well.
No
But
worries.
it's really hard for me to like go out and check some of these big men who are dominant forces in the league. And I think when people watch it on TV, they don't understand how physical it is. So
Mhm.
for us, like we take care of our body, we do a training camp, we get to know each other, talk, we try to put the ego aside, and we try to win. So that's where most of our successes has came from these last couple of years, where we've came to hot starts, and even won a championship out of, like how we prep and just prepare for the season.
Hmm. And what are your thoughts on your teammates? Like, does anything so far, like, does anything stand out to you, or was anything a surprise in terms of just what you just mentioned, like preparation and being serious about, what's going to happen in the upcoming months?
I think outside of the basketball aspect, we have a media powerhouse team where I think a lot of the eyes are going to be on us. And when people come to play us, they're going to try to build their brand off our back. We have a lot of players who are killing the game right now on social media with their podcast and their social media following. You have Nick Young with one of the biggest podcasts with Gil. Uh, Jeff Teague has a huge sports podcast that people all around the world watch. Dwight Howard's been killing it on social media. Jordan has a good social media that he promotes his cafe that he has in Detroit. And one of the players who I don't really know that well is Wesley. So hopefully, like me and him can talk and build a relationship so we can better help each other achieve our goals this season.
Mm. And you mentioned Nick Young. He's a very charismatic personality. What are your expectations, from him as your coach in this season?
I think this year Nick knows that he has to be a little bit more serious because he saw that the type of energy that we were getting from people last year, people don't really like how we were winning. People didn't like how we were playing. It was too sexy, honestly. And they didn't like that because when it came down to looking at their game, it wasn't as fun. People
Mm,
didn't like watching it. It was nasty basketball. And, Nick is a good guy. He wants to keep the energy high and stuff like that. But I felt like some teams used that against us and they were trying to disrespect us on the back of him. So this season, like, it's not gonna be no smiling, it's not gonna be no joking around. We come in there, do business, get out, and after the game, if y'all want to go get a drink or something at the hotel, we're more than down. But when we step in the arena now, it's probably not gonna be too much talking on like a personal level no more.
hmm. And you mentioned the physicality. It's something that, when you look, when you watch the game, you don't see it, if you're not there up and close. But can you further elaborate, like, on the actual physicality between, like, in the game, especially in 3-on-3, like the rules are different. That's something that attracts the fans to the big three, because when people talk about the NBA, people often criticize it because it's not physical as it used to be, while the big three is bringing this part of the game back, and this is something that the fans themselves want as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like a rock paper scissors league. Like you have some teams that build their team on being able to switch
Mm-hmm.
in all three positions. You have some teams that try to be more traditional with a point guard, small forward, and a big man. And you have some teams that just try to go out there with shooters and hit as many threes as possible. So each strategy has its weaknesses, but something that's always been the has always been at the backbone of the league is that, like, they let you play. Like, they're not going to call petty fouls. Like, you're not getting no bump fouls. It's a real physical game. They hit in your hand. They, you know, elbows, and you're playing a 50. So you're taking that for at least 30 plus shots. And that's why it's important for you to be in shape and really understand who you're playing. Because some teams, like, they'll let you off the hook. They'll shoot a bunch of shots. They not really trying to play bully ball because they don't have the people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Some teams they do, and those games are like very tiring and boring to watch. So that's why I think with our team, we've always tried to have a nice balance of where we can go inside the post, we can shoot threes, we can shoot 4 pointers, and we're not really having to like give up too much on defense when we're putting out shooters because everyone's the same size. They can switch. We have scrappy guards. So I think that's what's always differentiated us from a lot of the other teams, that we have like very versatile players.
Mm-hmm. And I believe like when it comes to 3-on-3 basketball, like nowadays, especially if you look at the FIBA competitions, like a lot of the guards are, or actually a lot of the players are kind of the same size. Everybody can shoot it. You don't have too many big men because they're too slow. So
Yeah.
and big threes, as you mentioned, some of the teams are built that way. So I wanted to ask you, like, especially because you mentioned the physicality of the game, do you think some players abuse the fact that they can be more physical? Like, do you think there's going to be any chippiness when it comes to facing certain teams, like playing certain teams? Do you think some players will try to provoke you guys, or try to stir up some shit?
For sure, that's their only chance to that's their only chance to win. Like I said, like they're not going to beat us skill wise. A lot of teams try, and that's how we won our championship last
Hmm.
2 years ago. The teams tried to outskill us, out finesse us. It didn't work. The only thing that they can do is the physicality aspect, and that's because the ref's not going to call every foul, even if they're hacking. So that's why it was important for us to go get a big man, and we got the best one out. So
Hmm.
good luck with that this year. I doubt it's going to go how they expect it to go, and that's why we picked the team that we picked. We got two very good pickups, and we got two very good actual PGs, and then you have me, who I could play every position. I can guard every position.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about the role. Like, what do you think you will be in charge of the most within your role on the team?
Being the youngest, I've always been in charge of guarding the best player and
Hmm.
just at the energy for real. So I don't expect it to change. I am a lot older than I once was. My body has picked up a lot of minutes this last season. I think I averaged like 38 minutes a game at one point. I don't know what I finished averaging, but my body's a little banged up right now. That's why I decided to come and take this vacation, give me a couple weeks off, and hopefully I'm ready to play and just help them. So my job is to make everyone else's job easier
Hmm.
and shoot the ball for real.
Keep on shooting, right?
Keep shooting.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you about. I want to jump briefly to your, professional career, actually your college career. You played college ball at South Cal, and if I'm not mistaken, you still hold the record for most pointers made in college history, in UST history. Were you always a great shooter, or is this is the part of your game that you really wanted to develop as you started playing college basketball?
Yeah, like I was never really a good shooter. In high school, I didn't really have a consistent shot. I used to shoot the ball over my head. I had a hitch to my shot. And when I moved to California in 10th grade, I kind of met up with some people who, throughout the years, helped me just develop my game,
Mm.
develop my shooting technique. And I used to watch YouTube videos. Like that was the thing back then, watching YouTube videos and like changing your form. And I just found something that worked for me. And eventually it carried over. I got more confident, got the reps in, and I've been good since.
Yeah, it's all about repetition, right?
Yeah, for real. Like honestly, like now you see a lot of players who don't really have the best form who are shooting at a high clip. One of them's in the playoffs right now, NBA playoffs, and it's just about getting the reps in. Now I feel like it's no textbook way of shooting basketball. It's just like whatever works for you, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, especially like you meant. I think you were referring to Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, he has a very unique, jump shot. I mean, it doesn't. It looks very unorthodox, but it works. I mean, if it works for you, why change something that works?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like I've seen a lot of players. I think that was the most interesting thing when I was going through my NBA draft experience. You had kids who were coming in, and we're shooting 40% from the three throughout college, and you got guys who are trying to fix your shot like on the like during that summer on the way to like some of the most important workouts of your life. And it happened to me. I ended up like I didn't agree with it, so I ended up like not going through with changing my shot. But people tried, and I've always like felt bad when I see a kid who had a pretty good shot in college and they switched it when they went pro. And most of the time, it's really not even something they can control, because at the end of the day, like we're all like young and impressionable coming in, and we're trying to give ourselves the best bet to stick. So
Mm.
you find yourself listening to people who you think know what they're talking about, but sometimes they're experimenting with you, and you don't really figure that out till it's too late, and your
And
shot is tore up. You can't hit anything. People are like, he's not panning out, and you got someone who's just trying to add you to their resume of people they've helped. So
yeah, there's a lot of like player development coaches out there that are not actually properly developing players. They're just, they're not real development coaches as they should be.
sure, for sure.
I wanted to like talk about you have extensive international experience. Which teams or cities left the biggest impression on you, and why? Because you played in Europe, you played in the G League, you played in Israel. Like you've been to many different places.
I think what really like opened my eyes to think what really opened my eyes to like basketball as a game was my first year pro was how I killed my body. I'm talking about like I killed my body. I was working out 3 times a day at one point. Um, Eating unnaturally high amounts of protein and food just to like get my muscle mass where I needed to be. I hit my goal weight. I think I was like 205, 210 pounds. Jumping out the gym, strong as an ox, and the game became so much easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to training camp, killing, killed in training camp, and I just knew like we had an injury in training camp. One of the two-way players, I just knew like they were gonna be like, look, like you've been doing a good job. We respect your professionalism. I'm showing up early to the gym. I'm like, I just know that this two-way is mine. And I think at that moment when I didn't get that two-way, I knew that like it was things outside of my control, that it didn't matter what I looked like, what I did, that I just wasn't going to get like the opportunity unless someone just wanted to like jump on the limb for me and vouch and be like, look, I think he could stick. So I took that type of mindset of like never, never leaving nothing to chance when I went overseas. And I just started just killing. I just wanted to be the best on the court. I wanted to get better every day. And since my professional career has been going on, I've been getting better and better. I've been picking up new skills. And if you see my resume, it speaks for itself. Since COVID, numbers been going up, money's been going up, and I'm happy where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm. And like, is there any like team or city that from your career that you kind of really I don't know, felt attached to, like that left an impression on you, where you really enjoyed living and playing basketball?
It was probably my first city overseas. I stayed in Helsinki.
Mm-hmm.
My coaching
A
staff there
cool
was amazing.
place, a very cool place.
Yes, yes, super cool, super cool. I think I was getting 2 hours of sun a day. It was new for me.
Yeah.
Sleep schedule was tore up. But the coaching staff really took their time with me. They like gave me grace, really helped me adjust. It
Mhm.
helped that we were also winning first in the league. And they were like, look, like, we think you could play for really big clubs and do really big things, and they really like put that confidence in me and help my transition go well. And I know for a lot of players that go and play overseas, that first year is always the toughest. But for me, it really showed that like I could go and like live outside of America for extended amount of time. Like honestly, I didn't really feel too homesick because of how
Mhm.
the environment was. I was in a nice country with nice people, staying in the city center. Everyone spoke English basically.
Yeah.
Um, it was things to do.
Mhm.
Basketball was going smooth, and they weren't killing my body. And I feel like that's one of the number one reasons why people don't like playing overseas is because, like you say, you have all these people who are skill development coaches and strength and conditioning coaches, and they don't know what they're doing. And you don't find more examples of that than overseas. Like that's the most randomest group of people that you're going to ever probably work with in your life, and they're just doing a job just to get a paycheck, you know. And most of the time, they don't have no certifications. They don't really know what they're doing. But when you get lucky and you find a club that actually cares about you and cares about your well being, it's special and it really helps.
Yeah.
And I think Finland was that place for me. It was amazing.
And there's, like you mentioned, there's a lot of obstacles that US born players face when they play overseas. And in your opinion, like, what is the best way to overcome those obstacles? Like, based on your experience, because you've been playing out overseas for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just things you can't control. Like you go into a game, you can't control that the ref might be the guy who's guarding your uncle. Like you can't control that. Like this, like I'm talking, like it's games where you go in and playing, you just know like for some reason that this game's going to be ref terribly. They're not doing it on purpose. They're honestly trying their best,
Mm,
but their best just is terrible. And you just got to focus on what you can do, but also you have to know your reality, you know. And I feel like a lot of people don't know their reality. You catch guys who they come and they playing overseas and they comparing it to the G League, or if they played in the NBA, they compare it to that. I'm like, bro, you can't compare it to that. This is almost a brand new game. You can't. And I think something for me was just controlling what I could control, and also learning how to be successful because every country plays different. So
mm-hmm,
you got some players, they can't go to Italy and play because the game's a lot different. The players are a lot different. Um, the sets you run are different. You might not be used to it. And you got some players that could go and play in countries that people from Italy can't play in. So I think it's more so about finding your fit, finding like what league works for you, and then trying to optimize and be on the best teams in that league.
mm-hmm. And, like, from your career so far, which league was the most competitive in your opinion
Um,
in Europe?
in Europe, I would have to say like the league that I actually played in. I played Champions League my I want to say third year out. I played Champions League, so we traveled and we played. The teams in Spain are pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
They play like 12 guys. Each guy's playing like 12 minutes a game. So like you're always going against someone that's like super fresh, you know, and you might be clocking at like 30 minutes that game, and they got so many players who are marginally not that different from each other. Like they're actually all pretty good, like all 12 of them. So they coming out, they scored 10, 12 points. That's a good game for them, you know. Like they
Yeah.
played 15 minutes, scored 10, 12 real quick, and they go sit down, clap their hands, and like keep it pushing. Spain was very interesting to play in. But as far as like actual leagues I played in, Italy, really tough, really competitive. A lot of those guys are coming from like the NBA, or they were like NBA guys at like one point. Very high level European guys who played Euro League, Euro Cup. Some of them would take more money and go play just straight domestic league. So the rest of their bodies playing once a week. So yeah, I probably say those are probably the top two leagues
Mm-hmm.
in Italy that I played against.
And, like, in terms of, there nowadays there's a lot of discussion on, like, like European players taking over the NBA. The NBA is changing because of international players. What is the thing that you saw as the biggest difference between the way basketball is being played in Europe, well, actually in the States, and when you came to Europe? What was the thing that you noticed that, okay, this they do, they do this here differently than what I'm used to, back home?
I mean, for European basketball, for sure, that 3 second no defensive 3 seconds is major. Like that's a complete game changer when it comes to the difference between the European and the American game. But I think Lucas said it best. He said it's easier to score in the NBA. He wasn't wrong. When I came back from Europe, I played in summer league, and I played, I want to say 2 or 3 games with the Pelicans. I'm not a point guard
Mm,
by nature. But I mean, if you need me to play the one, I can play the one. I went and we were playing. I want to say OKC or something, and I'm running the one, and I ended up having like 20, 20, 10, and something else. I think I had like 10 assists, which was like my career high. But it
Light
was
work,
so easy.
light work.
Just yeah, it was just so easy to just get in the paint and do kickouts. Like in the NBA, like one guy is guarding you. You come off a pick and roll. They're usually in drop. It's a completely different game than in Europe. Like you come off a pick and roll, you got someone helping, but the court's so spaced out in the league, you can't really help. And I think that's one of the biggest problem when these guys come from the NBA to Europe, so they're just not used to the floor spacing because they haven't played that game since college.
Mhm. Mhm.
European basketball is kind of like college
Oh,
ball for
yeah.
real. That's why you see a lot of people struggling because it's not as free. You have to be like more crisp. You have to take less dribbles. You have to be more efficient with your movement. You have
Mhm.
to know like where the help's coming from. You have to know what type of defensive schemes the team's playing. Like that's a lot of times. You might have some teams where like they're triple switching on a drives. So it's it's a completely different game. But I think that's one of the things that really differentiates the game is that defensive 3 seconds, honestly. That and also what else? What would you say?
Cool. Well, I agree with what you said that college basketball is much closer or more similar to how it's played here in Europe. I do agree to a certain degree that, for example, I played high school basketball in the States because I lived there back in the day, and I've noticed that in terms of player development, uh, there is less emphasis on fundamentals, actually understanding the game. I think here in Europe, we're taught like if even though you're playing a center, you need to know how a point guard operates or a wing player, for example. So and you're going through the drills. Like if you're a point guard, you go through all the drills that the shooting guard would go to, forward or center. So you kind of have a maybe a more broad view of the game to a certain degree. But I think what the advantage of like the training system in the States is more, there's more emphasis on like the physicality of the game in terms of getting your body ready, while here, like I think players are more focused on having, better shooting, better handles, and just understanding the nuances of the game. That's from my experience. So, but I think now, like, everything is so globalized that there's, it's a mix of everything nowadays. I think there was a
Yeah,
big difference like 10, 15 years ago, but nowadays, like, it's kind of becoming more and more similar.
I agree. I agree. I've been noticing it. Like here, like in like Europe now, a lot of kids want to do iso ball now, and
Yeah.
some clubs are also encouraging it. Like they want their kids to be able to break people down iso, but also like still keep the fundamentals right as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's the game is so globalized. Every kid wants to be Steph Curry or KD or whoever, Kyrie, and that's the influence that they have on the game, even in Europe or Asia or wherever. It doesn't matter. But it's interesting. I think basketball is as a sport, it's in a good place right now.
Yeah.
Um, one last question, because you have the experience that you have. What do you think? And this is kind of a follow-up question to what we just discussed. Like, what do you think European players should learn from the U.S. players and vice versa? Like, what do you think the U.S. players could learn from European players?
I think like European, a lot of kids ask me this, and I always tell them like, bro, can't no one help you be confident besides yourself? A lot of them like, yo, my coaches, they tell me I'm ass and I should work at a bakery or something. I'm like, bro, like if you let someone talk to you like that, that's gonna be your reality. Like you gotta sometimes, like let your nuts hang, bro. You gotta be like, bro, like I don't care about nothing you talking about because in Europe, I think a lot of the kids just get discouraged because
Hmm.
basketball is not as big, like they would probably rather play football or soccer or something, but for some reason they don't. So they go play basketball. And these coaches, like I say, they be trying to develop the kid, but unless the kid like super passed the eye test where he's like 15 years old, 6'9", most of the time, like these coaches and these skill development guys over here don't know what to do with them.
Mm.
Don't know how to help them. They like don't like I've played at some clubs where it'd be a kid, he's 13 years old, he's 6'2", and they got him playing the center. He ain't doing no ball handling drills. He ain't doing no guard drills, nothing. He's literally doing post up hook shots at 6'2", and you can tell that he's not gonna grow anymore.
Mm.
They just they just do these kids so bad sometimes. And then you have like us coming, like the kids see us and they know like we're probably getting paid a lot of money and they want to be like us. You're like, yo, like what can I do? And you talking to them, and you can just tell that they're just so defeated mentally.
Mm.
So I think like that's a real big thing because some of the best European players, they're cocky as hell. They're
Yeah.
ass like they're not traditionally nice people, and it's because that's how you have to survive to make it out.
Mm.
If you succumb to your emotions and you let people tear you down mentally, like you're not going to do well in Europe at
Mm.
all. And you could then carry that along to the American players. Like sometimes we're not used to like people talking to us crazy because
Mm.
it's like always been a man where we went. So like for you to have me come halfway across the world, paying me all this money, and then you like go work out with the 15-year-old kids because I want you to do more skill and development, and you working out with like a 80-year-old man who's just there so he don't get bored and he got something to do, and they got you doing like drills that he was doing in the 1940s. Like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I doing this? And they're forcing you to do it. Like, you just kind of got to sometimes. Actually, I don't agree with that at all. Like, I just showed you how institutionalized I was. No, actually, scratch that. I'm on the same time with that too. Sometimes you just got to tell yourself and like defend for yourself when you come overseas. Like, you can't let people make you do things that don't make sense. And honestly, like that's where I'm at right now. Um, I was trying to give like politically correct advice, but I'm not even gonna do
Nah.
that. Like,
Political
yeah,
correctness is no longer trending, man.
yeah, no, no, no,
No,
no, no.
scratch that.
Man,
Doesn't make sense.
they paying you to come do a job because you was good at that job. Don't go and bring your expertise somewhere else and then learn some things that's not your expertise. Like keep doing your routine. When you come over here, stick to your routine. Don't let people get you out your routine because your routine is the reason that they brought you there.
Exactly. They didn't bring it.
That's my advice to them. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
that was on me. That was on me. That was on me. I was wild. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. I'm trying to be politically correct. I shouldn't have said that. Nah.
Nah,
Stick to your routine. Do what you do. Do what got you there, and you'll be good.
and be confident.
Always, always, always.
And like, so to summarize everything, like what would be your biggest advice for any like college player, especially from the States, that wants to become
Now,
no, like what would be your, no, so for example, what would be your biggest advice for any college player, especially the one from the States who wants to become a professional basketball player and have a career overseas? Um, what is the main thing that the players
yo,
here?
I don't know how it works now, but if you in college, I need you to use all your red shirts, your gray shirts. If they got blue shirts, use that too. Stay in college as long as you can, unless someone from the front office call you and say, "Hey, we got you leaving fourth pick to our team in the lottery." Outside of that, stay in this college as long as you can. They paying y'all very good. Give y'all an amazing opportunity that you know people like Kimber Walker wish they had. Like those those were the pioneers for what I got in college was um more food and like more amenities from like the team, like help us eat more and stuff like that. Like people fought hard for food. Now my generation we fought hard to get paid. We went through the whole FBI investigation and the NCAA trying to strike people for the most randomest stuff, and to the where they just kind of gave in and was like, yeah, you know, like these kids should be paid. So take advantage of the opportunity y'all got. Stay in college for as long as possible. Um, build connections. So hopefully you don't have to come overseas. Honestly, like I wouldn't even say like coming and playing overseas is something you should just thrive for, unless you just really want to travel the world and play basketball. Then if that's the case, it's amazing.
Mm.
Because those first couple years, like no matter what you did in college, no matter who you was in high school, you're gonna be coming over here playing for pennies, and you got to start all over again. So weather the storm, try to play as long as you can in college. That's my advice, honestly.
Message to the kids: stay in school.
Stay in school, man. Literally, stay in school, make connections.
Just don't stay in school until you're like 28. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
For sure. You got like I got some kids who I played against this year. They going to college. I'm like, bro, you 23.
But there needs to be like, I mean, I think I agree with everything that NIL is providing, to
I
athletes.
don't think that though.
But like the age limit has to be introduced. Like you're gonna have like 25, 26-year-olds playing college ball against 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds.
Year-old,
Fair.
it's no more. It's the problem is now it's like as a college coach who my job is strictly dependent on the kids that I'm bringing in. Why the hell am I going to any high school? Why? Even if you a 5-star, like okay, that's nice, but I can go get this 23-year-old professional Croatian player who been playing for a EuroLeague team for the last 5 years. I can go get him, pay him a couple $100,000, and I got a grown man running the one. I got a grown man, big man. Like it's just not. I don't know who came up with that, but that was wild. Like I'm seeing these kids who I played against like numerous times, like throughout the years, going to go play college. Like that's insane. I couldn't even imagine, bro. And then you got kids who, like they could probably develop into really good players, not getting a chance. They got to go to JUCO. They got to go to what else they doing? JUCO. What's the other college called that they do? Prep school. They got to go
Yeah.
prep JUCO. Like it's wild. Like, or some of them just stop playing basketball because they don't want to do all that. They don't have the resources to even like go and pursue basketball at like a prep or a JUCO. So if you care about the players and you care about the actual like kids at home, the homegrown kids, y'all gotta fix that because colleges are going to abuse it. Like, why wouldn't I go get a grown man from overseas to come play for my team?
Yeah, and now and now there's a bunch of young players that are now going to play
Portal.
college basketball because they're getting paid more than they would here in Europe. So the competition is going to be even higher. But then again, you don't want to have like talented 18, 19-year-old kids lose interest because they have to play against grown-ass men in what's supposed to be a college basketball. So
That's the thing, though. It's not going to be no 18, 19-year-olds.
yeah, and that's also a problem.
I think in the next 3 or 4 years, like 3 or 4 years, we're not even talking about 10, 3 or 4 years, if they don't change that rule, the average age of some of these college teams is going to be 25.
They're gonna be the same age as some of the professors on the college campus.
They're going to be 25. And then they're going to start flying over they wife and kids, and it's going to be wild.
It's going well, yeah. Anyways, Elijah, it was really nice chatting with you. It was always good to chop it up with someone who has a bit of a different experience. I think it's when you have someone who's been around different countries, played in different systems, you have a different perspective, and you have a fresh perspective. So that's always it's always good to exchange knowledge and hear some stories and your opinion on the game because you've been through all of these different leagues and different environments, and that's always for me it's pleasure to speaking with players that have that type of experience.
For sure. Thanks for having me, man.